needed midterm election year opportunity.
So let's bring back CNN's Abby Phillip. Also joining us now, CNN political analyst Laura Barone-Lopez and CNN political commentator Scott Jennings. Great to have all of you. Scott, I just want to start with you because where we left off with the last panel was basically we looked at the women, the judges, the black women whose names are now being floated as possible Breyer replacements. All of them, as we've heard from other contributors who know them, just supremely qualified judges. And Ketanji Brown Jackson was chosen for the U.S. Court of Appeals, D.C. Circuit, in this past June, got 3 Republican votes. But Senator Mitch McConnell, whom you know very well, has vowed to block the Biden administration 100%, were his words, in any way that he possibly can. Do you think that he would be able to stop any Republicans from voting for a Biden nominee?
I don't know. I mean, you know, on these things, because the Democrats can do whatever they want here, and I agree that they can confirm whoever Joe Biden sends up. You know, ultimately, it's a question for each individual Republican whether they want to give their individual vote to someone who is going to hold extreme views on issues like abortion. I mean, my political advice is there ought not be one Republican vote for this, and furthermore, I think they ought to treat the president's nominee with the same level of respect that Brett Kavanaugh was treated with and with Amy Coney Barrett was treated with.
But they did.
We know how Democrats treated them, and I think Republicans ought to treat them to the same circus.
But Lisa Murkowski and Senator Collins and Senator Graham did vote for Judge Brown Jackson. So they don't think that she holds extreme views.
They might again, and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just telling you my political advice is what Republicans are going to want here, out here in flyover country, is for the Republican Party to treat this president's nominee with the same level of respect that Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett got, and that furthermore, the issues before the Supreme Court right now demand that Republican senators stand up for the values that they supposedly run on as Republicans. She may get some votes, and I guess that's fine, and individual senators obviously protect their votes very closely, but as political advice, and I'm not a lawyer, but as political advice, I'd say I wouldn't stand with the president on this if I were a Republican senator.
Despite having voted for her just a few months ago. Laura, let me come to you on the perspective from the White House. We've reported on the level of dissatisfaction with the president from some black voters, specifically in South Carolina, some voters on the left, with the stalling of Build Back Better, the stalling of the voting rights legislation. Just detail for us the political opportunity that this presents for the president, considering that dissatisfaction, to now name a black woman to the bench.
Well, it would clearly be a historic nomination, and one that would make good on a promise that, as you know, the president made, and that was extracted from Congressman Jim Clyburn, the most senior black lawmaker in the House. And it's one that a lot of the congressional black lawmakers are telling me that they're going to be holding Biden, you know, to account on. They want to see him do this. I was actually just on the phone with Congressman Clyburn a few minutes ago, and he said that he does think it can reinvigorate the base, and it is something that can get a lot of attention in the coming months, and that he hopes will inspire a lot of voters to look again at Biden and see that he is making good on some promises. So as the White House tries to reset, this is definitely something that can help them do that. Clyburn also made clear that his top choice is not Judge Jackson. His top choice is Judge Michelle Childs, who is soon going to be coming before the Senate, and that that is someone that he really hopes that Biden ultimately picks. It's his top pick. He cited her background in public education as something that he thinks is incredibly important. But another important note is that don't expect a lot of the congressional black lawmakers to all rally behind, at this point, behind one candidate. Clyburn told me that he expects a lot of the congressional black lawmakers to all name different people that they think could be qualified for this position, but that his pick is Childs.
That's really good reporting. Laura, thank you for sharing all of that with us. That's interesting. So, Abby, now that you've heard Scott's political advice to the senators, which I think is really helpful, if they don't get any Republican votes whatsoever, if they go with Scott's advice, there's no chance of the 50 Democrats fraying here, right? Everybody will support President Biden's pick? I mean, I only ask because we've seen such contentious battles within the Democrats over some of his legislative ideas.
Yeah, I think that obviously never say never, but there's been actually one thing that Senator Manchin in particular has been a pretty good soldier on, and one of them has been President Biden's judges. He voted to confirm several, to confirm Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is, based on what I'm hearing and what others are hearing, if not the top choice, but among the very top of the list. And that's really important because, you know, Manchin and Sinema are not always in lockstep, but they often vote in favor, vote in the same way. And Manchin has voted for a lot of people on on this short list, and so you can't count on everything. And I would also say, one of the things that we should also be on the lookout for is some procedural hijinks in the Senate. I mean, this is a 50-50 split, and so if a nomination were to be you know, locked in a 50-50 vote, and the vice president casts the tie-breaking vote, I think the belief is that that can be done, but I'm not sure that that has actually ever happened for a Supreme Court nominee. So just some things to look at as we go down this uncharted procedural territory.
Go ahead, Scott.
Can I just offer a bit of a political analysis based on what Abby just said? From the Republican perspective, if all 50 Republicans hang together and force the Democrats to do this unilaterally, it means that every single Democrat, therefore, cast the deciding vote. And so from the Republican political strategist perspective, you want to be able to say, Mark Kelly cast the deciding vote to put this, you know, extremist on abortion on the Supreme Court. So that's why, as a political matter, I suspect that Republican political consultants will be saying, hey, don't give Joe Manchin or Mark Kelly or any other Democrat in a tough state, don't give them any quarter here. Make them cast that deciding vote and make them explain that to their voters in these tough races come November.
Problem is, then you have to force the 3 Republicans who voted for that, quote, extreme candidate who voted for in June defend that vote if they then are up on the ballot, which Murkowski is this time around.
Anything, Scott?
Yeah, I would just, well, look, I'm just telling you how Republicans are going to feel about this. And look, a lot of it's going to stem from how Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett were treated, and they're not, my thinking is Republican voters are not going to look too kindly on Republicans who treat Joe Biden's nominees for the Supreme Court any better than Kavanaugh or Amy Coney Barrett were treated. Yeah. But there's a long way to go here.
I mean, Amy Coney Barrett was approved lickety-split. I mean, I think it was a month. Yeah, 30 days. So that wasn't a big battle. And obviously, Brett Kavanaugh had some other issues that I'm doubting that we're going to see with any of these women. But in any event, we take your point, Scott. Thank you very much, Laura Barron-Lopez. Thank you, Abby. Thanks so much.
All right, the markets are reacting.